neighbors, fellow patriots, we're here today to do our patriotic duty when our so-called representatives in the halls of power fail to live up to the demand of the moment. It falls on the people to do what must be done. Tonight, we will follow the format of a true impeachment trial with a few mockifications. And so, we begin our People-Powered Impeachment mock trial. Tonight, you are all United States Senators. Wait! Shouldn't you be out collecting contributions for your CPACs? Anyway, thank you for being here. You will hear our 4 articles of impeachment followed by evidence drawn from the public record. At the end, you will vote to convict or acquit. I know that they tried this in the real Senate, but perhaps we'll have better luck. By the way, do you know the difference between a centaur and a senator? One is half human being and half horse's ass, while the other is a fantastical creature from Greek mythology. The presiding officer of an official presidential impeachment trial is the Chief Justice of the United States. However, since John Roberts has proven himself to be in the pocket of the president and corporate oligarchs, we cannot trust him with the fate of our nation. Plus, Supreme Court justices only do favors in exchange for luxury vacations and yachting trips. And with the budget cuts to the arts, we couldn't afford it. So, tonight, all rise. For the people's Chief Justice, Chief Just Us.
This chamber will come to order. You are assembled as the United States Senate in a mock impeachment trial. This proceeding is educational and artistic. It claims no legal authority. Do you solemnly affirm, as mock senators, that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and alliance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter. Furthermore, do you swear to render impartial judgment based on the evidence presented? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Be seated.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Senators. One note about decorum. We don't have any. Feel free to laugh, shout, and heckle, but for everyone's sake, please don't slow us down. Are we agreed?
Yes.
In an impeachment proceeding, the House of Representatives drafts the articles of impeachment and appoints a small number of its members to prosecute the case to the Senate. These are called the House managers.
The House managers may come forward.
Senators, impeachment is not a criminal justice process, it is a political process.
Although the not-so-Supreme Court has bestowed upon the President a crown of immunity for criminal prosecution, the remedy of impeachment stands as the last remaining guardrail protecting our imperfect democracy from the unhinged, lawless destruction of a would-be dictator.
The Supremes did that. They should stop in the name of love.
Our only loyalty is to the U.S. Constitution, which states,
The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors.
You know, if they had worked on writing the Constitution for a few more weeks, they could have made it even more vague.
Fortunately, it was clarified by Congress in 1974.
I wonder what was happening in 1974. Oh yeah, Nixon.
impeachable offenses are not limited to crimes. Rather, they are offenses against the system of government. They include serious abuses of power, betrayals of public trust, or conduct grossly incompatible with the office that threatened the constitutional order or the rule of law.
In case they tune out, let's hear it one more time.
Impeachable offenses are not limited to crimes. Rather, they are offenses against the system of government. They include serious abuses of power, betrayals of public trust, or conduct grossly incompatible with the office that threatens the constitutional order or the rule of law.
Have we been clear?
Yes!
Okay, then, let's proceed.
Senators will present you with 4 articles of impeachment. The evidence for which is so apparent, so obvious, that all you have to do is open your eyes, open your ears, turn on Fox News, and use your good old common sense.
Article 1, election interference and democratic sabotage.
Article 2, deliberate dismantling of the constitutional balance of power.
Article 3, waging unprovoked, illegal war against Iran.
Article 4, corruption, cruelty, oligarchy, and authoritarian capture.
Senators, what say you to these articles of impeachment?
Now we get to the heart of the matter. Evidence, witness testimony, arguments, and rebuttal. All the hallmarks of great courtroom drama. And you, the senators, are the jury. For the sake of dramatic action and to spare you the redundancy of repetition over and over ad nauseum, we have pre-sworn all the witnesses. Rest assured that they are under oath and will speak the truth for once. It's jarring at first, but we'll try to get used to it.
The House managers will now introduce Article 1.
Article 1, election interference and democratic sabotage.
Senators, Article 1 concerns the most sacred promise of a democracy, that the people choose their leaders, and that those leaders protect the peaceful transfer of power.
The evidence we present will show that Donald J. Trump, in his conduct while President of the United States, gravely undermined the fabric of our democracy by denying and attempting to overturn a wholly legitimate national election.
He incited violence against the government of the United States in violation of his constitutional duty to faithfully execute the office of the president.
His lies, denials, and schemes have poisoned the people's trust in our democratic processes and set the stage for a catastrophic democratic collapse.
We will show you that the election of 2020 was secure.
That the courts repeatedly rejected the claims of fraud, that officials from both parties said the same thing.
And that the president was told this repeatedly by his closest advisors. Yet he continued to pressure state officials to discard certified votes and substitute illegal fake electors.
He lost. He knew he lost, and he acted anyway.
And that's not even the half of it. Wait till we get to the second term.
Senators, you will now hear evidence drawn from the public record.
Witnesses may come forward.
William Barr, former Attorney General of the United States.
I told the president repeatedly that there was no evidence of widespread fraud, that there was nothing there. It was all bullshit. At first, I wasn't sure. But I have come to believe that he knew well that he had lost the election.
Jason Miller, senior political aide.
I told him the legal challenges were not going to work. He ignored my advice. 61 lawsuits dismissed, dropped, or rejected by the courts for lack of evidence or legal standing. He lost.
Eric Hirschman, senior White House advisor.
I told him the fake elector plan was unlawful, that I didn't want to be part of a coup, and he better get a great fucking criminal defense attorney. Can I say that? Yeah. He lost.
Pat Cipollone, White House counsel.
Fake electors, seizing voting machines. I told him we're going to get charged with every crime imaginable. He lost and knew it.
Mark Meadows, White House Chief of Staff.
I asked my son to look into it because I needed a straight answer without another paper trail. I found only a handful of possible votes cast in dead voters' names, far short of Trump's claim. When I told the president, he said, "I don't want people to know we lost, Mark. This is embarrassing. Figure it out."
Brad Rassenberger, Secretary of State of Georgia.
The president called me up and asked me to find 11,780 votes. It was not a perfect phone call. After I refused, Trump called me an enemy of the people. My family received death threats.
On December 19th, the president sent a tweet to his followers.
Big protest in D.C. on January 6th will be wild.
We call Mike Pence, former Vice President of the United States.
President Trump was wrong. I told him I had no constitutional or legal right to overturn the election. The president then incited his supporters to storm the Capitol. They wanted to hang me. Trump remarked to Mark Meadows and Pat Cipollone, "Mike deserves it." My Secret Service detail was so fearful that they called their loved ones to say goodbye.
Senators, the House calls a composite witness. This voice represents the United States Capitol Police officers who stood the line on January 6th. This witness speaks for all of them.
I was on duty at the Capitol. The crowd pushed past the barricades. They were carrying Confederate flags. For God's sake. They beat us with poles, crushed us against doors, and sprayed us with chemicals. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. I didn't leave my post. They called us traitors. They called us the N-word. Some of us never made it out. They said the president sent them. That day, more than 140 of my fellow officers were injured. Brain injuries, broken bones, chemical burns. We were traumatized. In the months that followed, 4 officers took their lives. Trump incited an insurrection and then pardoned the criminals who did this to us. It's not only impeachable, it's unforgivable.
And now in his second term, obsessed with his 2020 failure and determined to control the outcomes of future elections, the president has embarked on a campaign of executive overreach.
Seizing local voting records.
Coercing states for voter data.
Conspiring to deploy ICE to intimidate voters.
And threatening to federalize elections. In direct defiance of the Constitution's allocation of election authority to the states and Congress.
He said explicitly, quote, "In 4 years, you won't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good, you're not gonna have to vote."
Now, most politicians only say the quiet part out loud by accident. He's doing it on purpose, as a promise.
This is not only how democracies lose elections, this is how they lose themselves.
Senators, you have heard the case for Article 1. You will now hear from defense. Who stands for the defense?
Excuse me, the president is unable to acquire legal counsel at this time. It seems all his lawyers have either been disbarred, remain unpaid, or nominated for attorney general. Therefore, he will represent himself. You know the old saying, whoever chooses to represent themselves in court has a fool for a lawyer and an idiot for a client.
Very well, Mr. President. You may now present your defense. Could someone please wake up the president?
What?
Russia, 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 witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. The enemy of the people, knock the crap out of them. I'll pay the legal fees. I'm a very stable genius. Make America great again. Again. I want Greenland. Greenland. My third term is perfectly legal because 2024 was rigged. I mean, 2020, whatever. Have you seen the size of Arnold Palmer's slump? Oh.
Senators, Before we move on, we will take a straw vote. This is a temperature check. Based on what you have heard, does Article 1 describe conduct that constitutes serious abuses of power, betrayals of public trust, or conduct grossly incompatible with the office?
Yes. On Article 1, democratic sabotage, do you find that the evidence supports this article? What say ye?
Yes.
Lock him up!
The response is noted. No judgment is rendered at this time.
Senators, remember this moment. Patterns are not proven in a single act. They are revealed over time. 1 article down, 3 to go.
The House managers will introduce Article 2.
Article 2, deliberate dismantling of the constitutional balance of power.
Senators, a quick civics refresher. In this country, we have 3 branches of government, separate, distinct, each a check on the others. The legislative branch makes the laws. The executive branch enforces the laws. The judicial branch interprets the laws. The framers were so insistent on this point that they built the entire system around checks and balances, specifically to prevent any single person from becoming all-powerful.
The evidence will show that the President of the United States has systematically dismantled that system, not through a single dramatic act, but through a sustained campaign of erosion and consolidation.
He has weaponized law enforcement to punish his critics and obscure his own crimes.
He has seized the spending power of Congress.
He has attempted to rewrite the Constitution by executive order.
He has defied the authority of the courts.
When one man controls all 3 functions of government, we no longer have a republic. We have something the framers had a word for.
Tyranny.
The evidence of this administration's assault on the separation of powers begins with the FBI. We call its director, Kash Patel.
Director Patel, you were appointed to lead the FBI by President Trump?
The greatest president ever, Donald J. Trump, yes.
Could you describe yourself as loyal to the President?
Absolutely.
As FBI Director, you swear an oath to the Constitution, not to the President personally, correct?
I see no contradiction there.
The FBI is a law enforcement agency, not a personal instrument of the President, correct?
If you say so.
Would it violate FBI policy to decline an investigation because the subject is a political ally of the President?
I reject your premise.
Director Patel, before taking this job, you wrote a book calling for the punishment of what you call the deep state, and you published a list of government employees you believe should face consequences. Is that accurate?
#1 bestseller. You're just another deep state gangster. You're probably on the list yourself.
Then you became director of the agency, staffed by many of the people on that list.
I call it accountability.
He calls it accountability. Most people would call it a conflict of interest, or a vendetta, or both.
Director Patel, you dismantled the FBI's Washington Field Office Public Corruption Squad, the unit responsible for investigating misconduct by federal officials while investigations involving the President's associates were still active, correct?
We reorganized units.
So that unit no longer exists?
Correct.
You reduced the Bureau's dedicated public corruption capacity at a time when investigations involving elected officials were nationally salient, correct?
I'm not a sailor. You have to ask the Navy about that.
Agents who had worked on investigations involving the President, they were removed.
Agents are only fired for failing to uphold the standards.
The standard being that they had investigated the former President.
What I am doing is providing historic reform, and you are the biggest fraud, a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
You also severed the FBI's formal relationship with the Southern Poverty Law
You
Center
bet I did.
and the Anti-Defamation League,
Hell
two
yes.
organizations that provided outside expertise
Hell yes.
on domestic extremism. So to be clear, you dismantled the Public Corruption Unit, you removed agents who investigated the President, and you cut off external partners who tracked extremism.
You know, at the FBI, we have our own facts. and they would totally exonerate the president if he had done anything wrong, which he didn't.
Did the president direct you to take these actions?
I served at the pleasure of the president.
He serves at the pleasure of the president, not the Constitution, not the American people. The FBI was founded to investigate crime regardless of who commits it. What we have now is an FBI that conceals the crimes of the president and his buddies.
If Director Patel shows us what happens when the FBI is turned into a loyalty test, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche shows us what happens when the Department of Justice is turned into a personal law firm for the president. We call Todd Blanche.
Mr. Blanche, are you and President Trump friends?
I'm his lawyer.
Oops.
Oh, was his lawyer. Now I'm his deputy attorney general. I mean, acting attorney general.
You represented him in the Stormy Daniels hush money trial.
Hush money, I wouldn't call it that.
Do you consider yourself a great lawyer, worthy of the attorney general post, the nation's top prosecutor?
I hate to brag, but yes.
Then how do you explain the 34 felony convictions against Mr. Trump in that case?
I plead the fifth.
And now you're nominated for the permanent attorney general position.
Yes.
Most people would call that conflict of interest.
I call it loyalty.
He said the quiet part out loud. Write that down.
Mr. Blanche, at a White House crisis meeting convened to manage political blowback over the Epstein files, you personally proposed interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted sex trafficker and Jeffrey Epstein's closest associate. Is that accurate?
Define accurate.
Well, you then flew to Florida to conduct a private interview with Maxwell.
It's the Sunshine State.
After granting Maxwell limited immunity for that interview, she told you that she had never seen the president behave inappropriately around Epstein. Did she receive any special treatment in exchange for her testimony?
Define special.
Within days, she was transferred to a minimum security prison camp, a facility that the Bureau of Prisons policy categorically prohibits for sex offenders.
That's an assumption baked into your question that I don't know is true.
She testified in the president's favor and was moved to a facility commonly referred to as Club Fed.
The Bureau of Prisons subsequently updated its guidance.
You also told Congress in writing that no Epstein files were withheld on the basis of political sensitivity. It later emerged that files containing allegations of sexual abuse involving the president had been withheld.
I'm not going to link it to some speculative idea or question.
What speculative idea are you referring to?
I just operate every day on doing everything I need to do to execute the president's agenda and priorities.
Don't you mean the department's agenda and priorities?
I don't see any distinction.
Your department has also brought a series of prosecutions against the president's political critics. Former FBI Director James Comey, charged with threatening the president based on a photograph he posted on Instagram of seashells.
The imagery constituted a threat.
The case was
Dismissed.
You also brought charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Dismissed.
Former federal chair Jerome Powell.
Dropped.
6 Democratic lawmakers referred for prosecution after posting a video reminding military personnel of their obligation to disobey legal orders.
Declined.
Gilmar Abrego Garcia.
Dismissed.
The judge cited your own public statements as evidence of vindictive prosecution.
Infinite loyalty. 0 convictions.
Isn't it true that your office sent a request to all 93 U.S. attorneys' offices seeking a pretext for potential impeachment referrals against federal judges who rule against this administration?
What happened in the last 4 years is something that will never happen again.
You were attempting to impeach judges for their rulings that didn't please the president.
That remains to be seen.
Does the mission statement of the Department of Justice say to ensure fair and impartial administration of justice for all Americans?
For all real Americans.
And who determines who is a real American?
The president's perfect moral compass.
Shouldn't the correct answer have been the United States Constitution?
We all serve at the pleasure of President Trump in this administration. Boo.
The FBI serves at the pleasure of the president. The Justice Department serves at the pleasure of the president. When every institution of law enforcement in this country answers to one man, we do not have a justice system. We have a Gestapo.
When there's an accusation of misconduct within the executive branch, whose job is it to investigate and determine culpability?
That would be the Inspector General.
Thank you for your one actual answer. You may step down.
The House calls the Inspector General for the Department of Justice.
Fired by Trump without explanation.
The Inspector General for the Department of Defense.
Fired by Trump without explanation.
The Inspector General for the State Department.
Fired by Trump without explanation.
The Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security.
Fired by Trump without explanation.
The Inspector General for the Department of Health and Human Services.
Fired by Trump without explanation. The Inspector General is the watchdog, the one who watches the watchers. So naturally, the first thing a president with something to hide does is fire all the watchdogs.
Senators, we turn now to the courts themselves. The president has not merely politicized law enforcement, he has declared war on the judiciary. We call Judge Reason a sitting federal judge.
Your Honor, you have presided over several cases directly involving this administration's action. We ask you to speak to the pattern you have witnessed. Tell us about the injunction you issued relating to the deployment of National Guard troops in Los Angeles.
I did not issue that ruling letter. Military forces may not be used to execute civilian law unless Congress has clearly and explicitly authorized it. That deployment placed federally controlled forces into civilian spaces without the extraordinary conditions the law requires.
That's right.
The president does not have a blank check to use the military inside the United States.
No, he doesn't. Right.
General unrest or political protest is not an insurrection. Disagreement with federal policy is not a breakdown of civil order. And invoking emergency language does not make an emergency real. So I said no. I issued the injunction.
What happened next?
Woo. The administration issued public statements suggesting the ruling was illegitimate. The president called me an activist judge. His allies called for my impeachment. The Department of Justice filed a request to all 93 U.S. attorneys on a fishing expedition to target judges for potential impeachment. I was on that list. I want you to understand what that feels like. To issue a lawful ruling and then watch the executive branch treat your authority as a crime rather than a limit to be respected.
Your Honor, was the Los Angeles deployment an isolated incident?
No. It was the beginning of a pattern. This administration has violated court orders in at least 31 separate lawsuits. More than 250 immigration court orders went non-compliant. I have colleagues across the country, appointed by presidents of both parties, who have issued lawful orders and watched them be ignored. Not contested, not appealed through proper channels. Ignored. And in some cases, defied by armed federal agents acting under this administration's direction. The courts do not have armies. We do not have police. We have one thing: the expectation that a lawful order will be followed. That expectation is the entire foundation of the rule of law. When the executive branch decides which orders to comply with based on political preference, courts cease to function as a check on power. And the constitutional balance is destroyed. And once that happens, the role of the judiciary collapses from a democratic check into a rubber stamp for a dictator.
Your Honor, you also presided over litigation involving the President's executive order on birthright citizenship.
Yep. On his first day back in office, the President signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship. A guarantee that has been settled constitutional law for 158 years since the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868. Every lower court that reviewed it struck it down. I struck it down. I called it blatantly unconstitutional. I was not alone. Every judge who saw it said the same thing. On June 30th, the Supreme Court narrowly agreed that they left the door wide open and gave the President a roadmap for further action. Trump immediately called on Congress to legislate birthright citizenship out of existence. That effort is underway right now.
And what does this pattern add up to in your assessment?
Every action has moved power away from the other branches and toward the executive. When the executive branch denies functions of the other branches, what remains is not a republic. It's a fascist regime.
Looks like we're all living in a Trump regime now. The gift shop is open and everything's gold-plated.
Your Honor, it's been our honor to hear your testimony today. Thank you.
Senators, you have heard the case for Article 2. You will now hear from the defense. Someone please wake up the President.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Russia, 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 witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. I did something no other president's ever done. I passed many cognitive tests, more than any other president, because I know that, and by the way, that's not easy. You get to those last questions, those last 10, 15 questions, and I aced them. And no other president's taken the cognitive exam. Could you imagine Sleepy Joe taking a cognitive test? George Washington never passed a cognitive test. Or Miller, Fillmore, everyone within half a brain agrees that I'm the greatest president since Jefferson Davis, my favorite president. So to sum it up, this trial is a witch hunt, a hoax, a scam, and 2 more witch hunts. You see there are 3 witch hunts in this. I'll just keep saying it over and over until people start to believe it. That's always worked in the past, what's stuff around. Nobody cares about this stuff except a few local liberal losers, and soon it won't matter because after my 3rd term, Don Jr. will be president, and if you think I'm bad, wait till you see him in action. Now rest my case.
On Article 2, deliberate dismantling of the balance of power. Do you find that the evidence supports this article? What say ye?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Lock him up!
Lock it
The
up.
response is noted. No judgment is rendered at this time.
2 articles down and 2 to go. It's already clear we can't take this lying down. We can't even take it sitting down. Let's all stand up for the 7th inning stretch and get ready for the heavy testimony yet to come.
The House managers will introduce Article 3.
Article 3, waging unprovoked illegal war against Iran.
Senators, we need to talk about Iran. Or more specifically, we need to talk about the part of the Constitution that says, and I want to be very clear here because apparently this needs saying, Congress declares war. Not the president, Congress. It's Article 1. They put it near the front so we couldn't miss it.
Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution states that the power to declare war belongs exclusively to Congress. This is not ambiguous. This is not a gray area. This is not open to interpretation by someone who once called himself a very stable genius.
The evidence will show the President of the United States ordered and sustained unprovoked military strikes against the sovereign nation of Iran without a declaration of war, without congressional authorization, and in direct violation of the War Powers Resolution of 1973.
The House managers may call the next witnesses.
The House calls Professor William Ward, constitutional law scholar specializing in war powers and executive authority.
Professor Ward, let's begin with the basics. Under the Constitution, who has the authority to declare war?
Congress, exclusively. Article 1, Section 8. The framers were quite deliberate on this point. They had just lived through the experience of kings going to war on personal whim and wanted no part of it. The power to take the nation into war was placed with Congress precisely because it is the branch closest to the people, the ones who fight and die and pay.
And the War Powers Resolution of 1973. What does that require of the President?
It requires the President to notify Congress within 48 hours of committing armed forces to hostilities. And if Congress does not authorize the action within 60 days, the President must withdraw.
When did the President commit forces to hostilities against Iran?
February 28, 2026. U.S. and Israeli forces launched Operation Epic Fury.
What justification did the President give for launching the war?
That depends on which day you ask. First, it was regime change. Then it became the elimination of Iran's nuclear and missile program and the destruction of its network of proxy groups threatening Israel. When neither panned out, it shifted to self-defense, a preemptive strike to get ahead of an anticipated Iranian retaliation to a planned Israeli operation. And finally, when all else failed, the claim that Iran had the capacity to bomb the continental United States, a claim that our own intelligence committee does not support.
Did he seek congressional authorization before those strikes?
He did not. He notified Congress after the fact in terms that were vague and legally evasive.
Professor Ward, what was happening diplomatically in the days prior to February 28th?
Negotiations between the United States and Iran were actively underway. Iran's foreign minister had publicly confirmed that teams would meet for talks in Vienna the following Monday, only to see the president launch the war on Saturday, 2 days before.
He launched the war while his own diplomats were still at the negotiating table.
Correct. And this was the second time Trump attacked Iran while talks were in progress, once in June 2025 and again on February 28, 2026. Iran's foreign minister said afterward he did not believe negotiating with the United States would ever be on the table again.
We were at the negotiating table, then he flipped the table, then he bombed the table twice.
Yeah, they did.
Does the timeline speak to whether these strikes constituted self-defense?
It answers that definitively. Self-defense requires an imminent threat. You do not schedule nuclear negotiations for Monday and bomb your negotiating partner on the Saturday before. That is instigation. That is a war of choice initiated by one man without congressional authority while diplomacy was still on the table.
Yeah.
Did Congress attempt to reassert its authority?
100 days into the conflict, a bipartisan majority in a Republican-controlled House finally passed a War Powers Resolution. The bill directed the president to remove U.S. armed forces from hostilities against Iran.
And the president's response?
He ignored it.
Yep.
Senators, as of the date of this proceeding, U.S. forces remain deployed. 18 brave American service members have been killed and 600 wounded. Over 1,700 Iranian civilians have been killed. The Strait of Hormuz remains disrupted. The Pentagon has estimated the cost at $29 billion. Independent analysts project the final cost could exceed $1 trillion.
We need healthcare.
In your expert opinion, does what occurred constitute an impeachable offense?
Initiating and sustaining hostilities against a sovereign nation without congressional authorization, while negotiations were active, without imminent threat, at an estimated cost approaching $1 trillion, in defiance of a bipartisan House resolution directing withdrawal, is precisely the action the impeachment clause was designed to address.
Professor Ward, thank you for your precise and comprehensive testimony.
One man, no vote, no declaration, no authorization. The framers are not resting in peace right now. They are spinning.
Yep.
Senators, the next witness represents active duty service members, veterans, and Gold Star families who cannot speak publicly without fear of retaliation.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I served this country for 22 years. I raised my right hand and swore an oath to the Constitution, not to any one person. My daughter is active duty now. She was deployed without warning, without a plan, without an exit strategy, and without Congress ever saying the words, "We authorize this war." I want you to understand what that means for a family. The phone call they're dreading, the folded flag, the unanswered question. Did they die for something? Was it necessary? My daughter is alive. Others are not. And the family of those who are not, they deserve to know that their child's life was spent for an urgent national matter. It's not a whim of a president. That the People's Congress deliberated seriously before putting their son or daughter in harm's way, asking them to make the ultimate sacrifice. That didn't happen here, and our families are paying the price.
Thank you. This chamber honors your service and your sacrifice.
Senators, what occurred in Iran was not a surgical strike in defense of an imminent threat. The president thought it would be a quick in and out like Venezuela.
Candy Jean Carroll.
Instead, Trump and his gang blundered into a predictable quagmire, paid for in American lives. Credibility and power. The regime did not collapse, but the Strait of Hormuz is closed, choking the global oil supply and triggering soaring inflation for American families and creating an uncertainty for the entire world economy.
The war continues and the president is losing, not just militarily, but diplomatically, economically, and morally. He's shattered America's credibility and position on the world stage, all for an impulsive act of egomania. The constitutional line could not be clearer. He crossed it deliberately, without apology. The American people in the world will be paying for it for generations.
Senators, you have heard the case for Article 3. You will now hear from the defense. Can someone please wake up that president again?
What? What? Russia. Witch hunt, radical left-wing lunatics, domestic terrorists, mothers. Lock them up and throw away the key. But I have a concept of a plan. Did I mention that I'm a very stable genius with a big ego? The shark, by the way, very dangerous, very aggressive, but the electricity, very powerful. People don't understand electricity. I rest my case.
On Article 3, waging unprovoked illegal war in Iran, do you find that the evidence supports this article? What say ye?
Yeah! Fuck that guy.
Response is noted. No judgment is rendered at this time.
3 down, 1 to go, and this one answers the question that ties everything together. While the Republic is being dismantled, who is getting rich? Who is paying the price? And what is the ultimate goal?
The House managers will introduce Article 4.
Article 4, cruelty, corruption, oligarchy, and authoritarian capture.
Senators, the betrayals identified in the previous articles can only be fully understood when you see who benefits from them, who pays the price, and the ultimate goal. Tonight, we'll show you all 3.
The evidence will show that the president's attempt at authoritarian rule has operated on 2 parallel tracks. Track 1, unleashing the full force of the federal government against the most vulnerable amongst us through mass deportation, state-sanctioned violence, the construction of a permanent detention infrastructure, and the systematic dehumanization of immigrants, journalists, and political opponents.
Track 2, constructing a system of personal enrichment and oligarchic access, granting governmental power, favorable policy decisions, and national security concessions to wealthy allies in exchange for money and loyalty.
These are not separate stories. They are the same story. The corruption funds the cruelty. The cruelty enables the corruption. And together, they empower the president to authoritarian rule at the expense of the people.
The Declaration of Independence asks of every government, from whose consent does it derive its power? In America, the answer is supposed to be the people. In this administration, the answer is the highest bidder.
We begin where the harm is felt most keenly, in the American heartland.
We call Jacob Fry, mayor of Minneapolis.
Although I am the mayor of only one American city, I know the hearts of all mayors are with me and with my people. In this tragic, tragic moment, we've dreaded this moment since the early stages of ICE deployments to our cities. Residents called my office afraid to leave their homes, afraid to send their children to school, afraid to open their businesses. I watched a video of more than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. What ICE is doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. How many lives have been lost to promote this administration's political and partisan narrative? We have seen these kinds of operations in other places, in other countries, and most of us could never imagine it would happen here in America. The invasion of a great American city by its own federal government, the massed militarized force of unidentified agents occupying our streets, that is what weakens our country. That is what erodes trust in both law enforcement and in democracy itself.
Thank you, Mayor. We now call our eyewitness, Marion Grace. Miss Grace, will you please share with us your experiences of the ICE raids in Minneapolis?
I was there to witness and peacefully protect my hardworking neighbors. They are not criminals. They are good people. I heard tires squealing. The woman in the car said, "We are not mad at you." She had a sweet, kind voice. Then The masked men shouted different directions at her. It was confusing. Chaos. Then a gunshot. People screamed, what have you done? What have you done? The car crashed, and the officer said, fucking bitch. A few weeks later, maybe a mile away, agents pulled a man onto the ground. I didn't see him touch any of them. They threw him down. 4 or 5 agents had him on the ground, and they just started shooting. They shot him so many times. I don't know why they shot him. He was only helping. I was 5 feet from him, and they just shot him. It turns out he was a nurse at the VA hospital. Permission comes from the top, you know. The president is supposed to be a role model for our children. Instead, he's a role model for the killers.
That's right, that's right.
Before we move on, let's have a moment of noise for every person killed or injured by ICE operations. For the people whose names we never learned because nobody was watching, let's make some noise.
We call Dr. Hannah Mercer, a physician affiliated with Physicians for Human Rights.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I'm here to draw attention to the inhumane conditions at these so-called detention facilities. I've risked my life in numerous emergencies around the world. I do what I can to diminish human suffering. And I can tell you that the detention center at Fort Bliss is as bad as it gets. I want you to imagine the smell of feces, urine, and vomit, barely covered with the acrid odor of industrial bleach. The relentless sounds of crying, moaning, coughing, shouting, glaring lights on 24/7. The conditions were atrocious, an atrocity. I saw multiple patients with bacterial infections caused by exposure to feces, which came from overflowing toilets. The overall sanitation conditions were deplorable. Children covered in their own mess. Not offered clean clothes or proper care. I mean, these are children. And they're separated from their parents and put into this traumatizing environment. And some of them are so small. And they're crying for their mamas and papas. And their children. Surely we can all agree that they're not gangsters, drug dealers, or criminals. Most of the detainees are good, hard-working people. Our neighbors, PTA members, essential workers, detained based on their skin color or accent, denied due process. And many are, in fact, U.S. citizens. God, I'm haunted by these images. I see them when I close my eyes at night. But most of all, I'm haunted by the intentional cruelty at Fort Bliss. The harm was systematic, intentional, predictable. It was the president's policy expressed through broken bodies and broken spirits. I mean, what kind of people can inflict such misery and not feel anything?
Monster.
It's called cruel and unusual punishment. It's prohibited by the 8th Amendment to the Constitution. It's against the law and violates our most sacred American values. To those who support this, I implore you to please imagine your own children being torn from you. Your life becoming a cycle of torture. Sleeping in your own waste and knowing you'll never have a chance to go back to the place that you call home. I need you to understand the scale of what is being built. When this president took office, there were roughly 35,000 people in immigration detention, already the largest such system in the world. Today, there are nearly 70,000, a scale of mass detention not seen since the internment of Japanese Americans in World War II. And they are building more, literally purchasing warehouses to expand internment. My ancestors experienced the Holocaust. But you don't have to be Jewish to see where this is headed, with a mandate to detain and deport people as if they were inventory, units, to be warehoused, sorted, and removed as if they were human Amazon packages, not human beings.
$38 billion for warehouses to hold human beings. Not for schools, not for healthcare, not for veterans, warehouses for our fellow human beings. And who do you think gets the no-bid contracts to build and operate these facilities? I think you know the answer.
We now move on from the cruelty to the corruption. The evidence will show that the President of the United States abused his power of office to construct a system of corruption, granting favors, access, and governmental power to a small class of wealthy oligarchs while enriching his family and undermining the interests of the American people.
The House managers may now call the next witness.
Senators, our next witness is uniquely qualified to speak to the financial affairs of the Trump family. He has direct personal knowledge of the family's business dealings. He has participated in them. He is married to the president's daughter. We call Jared Kushner. Mr. Kushner, has the president personally profited from the presidency?
Yes, enormously. The man is a genius. He made $2.2 billion in 2025 alone, while running a country. People said it couldn't be done.
I think they said it shouldn't be done.
You've said the claims of personal profit are absurd.
Absurdly historic. No president has ever come close. Like the Trump meme coin. Pure genius. He used a presidential cachet to convince his loyal following that the value would soar. He announced a private dinner for the top holders, the most exclusive invitation in the world. We made over $300 million in fees.
And how did the loyal following fare? Ordinary Americans lost money in massive numbers, while a handful of insiders and early holders walked away rich.
That's capitalism. You buy low, you sell high. The president, he understands markets.
Ripping people off used to be illegal in this country, but that was before America was great again.
Mr. Kushner, do you have knowledge of AI chips?
I've developed significant expertise in that space.
Do AI chips have national security and military applications?
Dumb question. Of course.
So should our most powerful chips be protected from foreign adversaries, like China?
Even dumber question. Of course.
So how do you explain that just a few months ago, after United Arab Emirates National Security Advisor purchased a 49% stake in the Trump family's crypto company, the Trump administration approved the sale of 500,000 of America's most advanced AI chips to the UAE, despite opposition from the U.S. national security community?
That was an outstanding deal for both sides.
Both sides being the UAE and the Trump family.
I wouldn't put it that way, but the numbers speak for themselves.
After it paid your family $187 million, those chips, the one your experts said should be protected from China, it went to a company in the U.S. intelligence community that had been flagged as a conduit to China.
He's right, the numbers do speak for themselves.
Mr. Kushner, do Eric or Don Jr. have any military, aerospace, or defense technology background?
They have excellent business in space.
The drone company, Unusual Machines, created an advisory board position for Don Jr., granted him shares worth millions of dollars, then landed $15 million in military contracts. Eric was appointed Chief Strategy Advisor to Foundation Future Industries, a robotics company with zero defense experience, which then received a $24 million Pentagon contract. Same pattern, different sons, different companies. One question. What qualifications did either of them bring to the boards?
Well, the Trump name, it carries enormous weight in today's business environment.
That's their qualification. Their last name, board appointment, investment, contract follows. Every time. Both sons. Outstanding deals?
They recognize incredible opportunities.
The opportunity being that their father controls the Pentagon budget.
Oh, timing can be coincidental.
One coincidence is possible. 6 is a business model.
Yeah.
What's your qualification?
Barron Trump, 20 years old, estimated net worth $150 million from the family crypto company. Any experience there?
Barron is an exceptional young man with a very bright future.
He's a sophomore.
A very well-positioned sophomore.
Mr. Kushner, the House Oversight Committee estimates the family has amassed $5.1 billion in additional wealth since the inauguration. Up to $9.7 billion, including digital assets. $600 million from foreign investments alone. You'd call that a success.
Yes, I call it unprecedented.
So would we.
Yes.
You may step down.
He came here to defend the president. He just confirmed everything. That's what happens when the corruption is so normalized that bragging about it feels like a defense.
Next, we will call the 4 oligarchs of the apocalypse.
The witnesses may come forward.
State your name and business for the record.
Elon Musk. Tesla, SpaceX, X Corp, XAI, and formerly head of the Department of Government Efficiency.
Jeff Bezos, Amazon.
Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. You old people might remember it as Facebook.
How much did you donate to the president's election campaign and super PACs?
Oh, it's hard to say exactly. In the millions. Probably in the hundreds of millions.
Nothing. Nada.
Zilch.
How about after the election? How much did you donate to his inaugural fund?
$1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million bucks.
A million smackers.
And what did you get in return for your donation?
Nothing at all. Not a thing.
Great party, bro.
Well, I got unlimited access to government databases. The power to fire a whole bunch of civil servants. A lot of ketamine. And this rad chainsaw. It was just a coincidence. Totally unrelated to the donations.
Yes, of course.
Did any of you provide a personal gift to the president?
No.
Hell no.
Yes, a personalized plaque mounted on a 24-karat gold base. He loves gold.
And you, Mr. Bezos?
Well, it does a $75 million biopic of his wife count? Then yes.
Since the inauguration, the government decisions moved in ways that materially benefited your bottom line?
Yes.
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 Okay.
It better have, or I would waste a whole lot of money.
And do you deny currying favor with the president for the purpose of buying influence?
I hate curry.
Never.
Too spicy.
Yeah, I only eat American food.
No further questions.
One last question, if I may, Your Honor. You tech bro oligarchs are some of the richest and most powerful men in the history of the world. Why are you so scared of him? That's what I thought.
You missed that back.
Follow the money. It always leads somewhere. Tonight, it leads to our next witness, an analyst who spent 30 years watching democracies die from the outside and is now watching one die from the inside.
We call Dr. Samantha Watchman, former CIA senior analyst.
Dr. Watchman, why are you testifying today?
Because I love my country.
Closer to the microphone, please.
Because I love my country.
Yeah.
I love my family. And I'm frightened by what this administration is doing. I've spent my career assessing threats, studying patterns, implementing policies overseas. We've propped up some questionable regimes, and I've seen the playbook from the inside. I never thought I'd see it implemented here.
Can you give us a concrete example?
It starts with chaos, confusion, distraction. So the signal gets lost in the noise. But the intent is there. When the president says to his supporters, "You won't have to vote anymore. In 4 years, you won't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good, you're not going to have to vote." The public will dismiss it, but the followers will get the signal loud and clear.
Who was the president speaking to at that time he said that?
Turning Point Action's Believers Summit, a Christian nationalist group.
Were there other signals?
Oh, yeah. The president also said, we shouldn't even have an election. He described elections as a sickness that must be straightened out one way or the other. Analysts look for repetition across contexts. This is a consistent theme for this president. I wrote the assessments on Orban in Hungary, on Erdogan in Turkey. I'm watching the same moves here.
Surely this is just talk, it's just bluster. Why does it have you so rattled?
Because it's more than just words. The moves he's making to get control of the elections are already happening. He seized all those election materials from Fulton County, Georgia. He just redirected over 200 FBI field agents to comb through the records on a fishing expedition to establish a narrative of national security threat as an excuse to federalize the upcoming elections.
What gives you that impression?
He just said it in an interview. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting, quote, unquote. The Department of Justice has been demanding full, unredacted voter registration data from at least 30 states.
Unredacted.
They tried to coerce Governor Walz by offering to withdraw ICE from Minneapolis if he would turn over Minnesota's voter data.
Why would they want this voter data?
A national voter roll would give him the ability to purge voters based on his own criteria. The president is immune. So what's to stop?
Has the president and his allies signaled what the criteria might be?
I think we already know the answer to that. The president frequently distinguishes between real Americans and others, frames political opponents as enemies from within, and conflates citizenship with identity, heritage, and religion. When the president tells Christian supporters they will not need to vote again, he is signaling the intent for a permanent theocracy.
A permanent theocracy. What countries currently have a permanent theocracy?
Afghanistan, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Brunei, to name a few. I'm one of those people who thought it could never happen here. But it's happening even faster than I thought possible. I spent 30 years warning other countries' governments about what was coming. I wrote those reports. Sometimes they listened, sometimes they didn't. But I never thought the assessment would apply to my own country.
Dr. Watchman, thank you for your courage in testifying today. I wish the best for you and your family.
She's watched it happen. She wrote the classified reports. She knows the playbook, and she said it's happening faster than she thought possible. We are still in the window. That is the most important thing anyone has said in this courtroom tonight. We are still in the window.
Our final witness is widely regarded as the world's foremost authority on oligarchy and democratic collapse. We call Professor Benjamin Sentinel.
Professor Sentinel, we've shown the jury corruption. We've shown them cruelty. We've shown them the pattern. Tell us why it's impeachable.
Because it is not merely illegal. It is a betrayal of the founding charter of the United States itself. The Declaration of Independence states that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, not from the consent of the wealthiest, not from the consent of the most loyal, not from the consent of Christian nationalists or so-called heritage Americans, from the governed, all of them. What we have witnessed in this administration is the systematic replacement of that consent with a different arrangement entirely. One in which government power flows to those who pay for it, and government force falls on those who cannot. That is not a policy disagreement. That is not a difference of political philosophy. That is a blatant defiance of the Constitution and the democratic values aspired to by our founders. In short, it is the end of the American experiment. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, replaced by government of the highest bidder, by the most loyal, for the benefit of billionaires and white Christian men.
What's their plan to sell this to the American people?
They already have a built-in propaganda machine with Fox News. Right-wing oligarchs just purchased CBS and are angling to acquire CNN. Add to that a handful of right-wing investment groups that have quietly bought up hundreds of local television stations and thousands of local radio stations across the country, replacing hometown news with centrally produced, ideologically uniform content that most Americans can't distinguish from local journalism. When you dominate the media, you can sell corruption as patriotism and lies as truth. Ultimately, you can distort the entire culture and rewrite history. This is not supposed to happen in a healthy democracy. And if we don't confront it now, what comes next will not be a democracy at all.
Thank you, Professor, for your powerful and cautionary testimony. Senators, this is what impeachment is. It is the people's constitutional mechanism for saying this is not what we consented to.
Senators, citizens shot dead in the streets for protesting, and others just shot dead for doing their daily life. People being warehoused like Amazon boxes. National security traded for self-enrichment. Pentagon contracts flowing to the president's sons, oligarchs and billionaires who pay to play, while the president and his family multiply their wealth, while the people cannot afford food, gas, or health care. Meanwhile, the president consolidates power and aspires to dictatorship. This is how the republic ends, if we allow it.
Senators, having heard the evidence and the rebuttals, we will now vote on each article. When prompted, you will say either guilty or not guilty. On Article 1, Democratic sabotage, what say you?
Guilty!
On Article 2, deliberate dismantling of the balance of power, what say you?
Guilty!
Article 3, waging unprovoked illegal war in Iran, what say you?
Guilty!
On Article 4, corruption, cruelty, and oligarchic capture, what say you?
Guilty!
The accused stands convicted on all 4 counts. By your vote of conviction, the person is removed from office, effective immediately. Senators, you are voted to convict. Under the Constitution, the Senate must now consider whether to permanently disqualify the convicted president from future office.
Yes.
All those in favor of permanent disqualification say disqualified. All those opposed say no.
Disqualified!
The judgment of this body has been rendered. The authority of the Constitution has been exercised. Senators, House managers, witnesses, we thank you for your time. The American people thank you for your time. This impeachment trial is...
Wait! Our mock impeachment trial is done, but our work is just beginning.
That's right.
Our proceedings tonight have painted an honest but dire picture of the state of our nation. I dare say alarming. We only have a small window left to prevent the full authoritarian transformation of our country, a tragic end to our 250-year experiment in government by we the people. I know it's already been a long road. Many of us are exhausted, burned out. Some of us feel hopeless. That's exactly how they want you to feel. But we have internal resources that we are not even aware of. Look at what happened in Minneapolis. Resilience, strength, love, hope. We have to shake things up so vigorously that we create a blue tsunami at the midterm elections. Woo-hoo! But it doesn't stop there. We have to envision a new dawn for America, not beholden to the establishments of any political parties or to the billionaire oligarchs with their techno-feudalism. An America where money has no place in politics. We must fight to end partisan gerrymandering across the nation and for public funding of elections. We must dismantle the corrupt two-party system never envisioned by our founders and replace it with a truly representative system. We must fight to abolish the Electoral College and all anti-democratic institutions. So we can finally fulfill those aspirations of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Woo!